my God, I can breathe, and it's a nice day, and here I am. I've been in these tall buildings or whatever, and just wasting time when I could have been out in this amazing weather. I could be doing what I want to do, and I could be believing in myself. And I was like on cloud 9, and I got home, and I was like so thrilled, but I started freaking out shortly afterwards. And I remember I went down to, I lived in like an urban neighborhood. I walked down, the street, and I got like I guess it was a magazine. They used to put out a magazine. It's probably on the internet now, kind of like a weekly magazine of like jobs, but they were all like really crappy jobs. They were like telemarketing or day laborers or, working in a call center or something like that. And I remember looking through there because I freaked out again. It was the same pattern I'd had, right? And all these jobs were so bad. I was like, this time I'm making it stick. I don't care what I've got to do. It was that same kind of thought pattern that I thought in the office when I quit. But I was like, this time, this is hell, and this is no way to live, and I'm going to make it work.
But do you think there's an entrepreneur out there who hasn't looked through like Craigslist jobs or anything like that, just in that freak out moment?
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes I still do, just to kind of keep me on point.
It's like keeps you grounded. It's like, yes, I'm doing the right thing sometimes.
Yeah, because sometimes it gets hard, and you say, well, I never want to forget that. And here's another thing that I had issues with. We talked a little bit with, you and I did on the last episode of this, part 1 of this, about parental involvement and things. I had a lot of pressure. I felt I had a lot of pressure from family. So I didn't tell anybody for 6 months, not anybody in my family. Oh. And I remember, as I mentioned, my parents were in Nashville. I was in Nashville at the time. And I remember going to dinner, and my mom asked me how my work was going. This is a few months later. And I said, well, I'm not working there anymore. And she was like, oh yeah, when did that happen? And I was like, about 6 months ago. So that's when I was pretty sure I was going to be able to make it. It just took those first few months, and not that there haven't been lean times since then, but the first time in breaking that habit that I had was the worst.
Well, let's look at that. Is you didn't know at that time, 5 days into your last job, that you were going to quit, but is there anything that you did to prepare your business, prepare yourself for this change in your life?
Well, I definitely had the fake it till you make it. I was out there doing what I wanted to do, which at the time I was running a music marketing company. I was marketing a lot of people in the entertainment industry, specifically musicians, doing a lot of street promotion, doing a lot of radio promotion. And that I sort of had set up, sort of had connections, but I was young, man. I was like 23 or 24 maybe, so I was still pretty young. I was in a brand new town. Granted, it was Music City, USA at the time. But I think strangely enough, not preparing, like not having a lot of money in the bank, like I knew I was going to get 4 or 5 days worth of money in a couple weeks whenever they sent that check, right? And I had a little bit of money in the bank maybe, and I say a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I mean, a couple grand maybe? Who knows? I don't remember. But I think that was good for me because I couldn't sit around. I see a lot of guys, like I knew this guy, he worked for something like 20 years, and he had saved up, I think he'd saved up 5 years of income. And I don't know what his income was because he wanted time to be able to, figure out whatever he was going to do to get this thing rolling. And I met this guy. I met him about about 4.5 years ago. And I looked up on him the other day. He's still not doing anything because he was so comfortable. Had that huge padding. I didn't have that. It was kind of a gun to the head kind of thing. It's like if I wasn't going to get out there and work, I was going to die.
Well, when you're uncomfortable, that puts that fire under your ass that makes you go do stuff. And not having a ton of money in the bank, that's what I tell my clients is like, if you just have like $100,000 in the bank, what's the likelihood that you're going to go bust your ass and do what you need to do? It's unlikely. Yeah. So it sounds like that was your method. It's like, couldn't really help that, but didn't really have too much money. So you went out and did what you had to do. Well,
yeah, definitely. And there's a fine line because I don't think you need to be so desperate that you've got to go get that next job. And that's what was hurting me. That's why I went back and forth with this whole thing to where I was like, better go get a job. I was desperate. You have to kind of be comfortable with that desperation if you will, but at the same time not have comfort. I mean, comfort, if you think about this is kind of like the yoga analogy, I guess, right? But you think about like lazy boys and you think about comfort food and things. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's killing us. Too much comfort is going to kill us. It's nice to sit on the couch, but you can't do it all the time.
Fried chicken and ice cream. So what happened for you? You said when you told your mother 6 months out that you didn't have that job anymore, and you said by that time you were pretty certain that, you weren't going back. You were settled in your business and your new life. What happened during that time? I mean, what happened that you were like, yes, okay, I don't have to go back again?
Well, I think it was one of those things that because I was hustling, because I was working harder than I had ever worked before, I was seeing more money come in. When you have a plan B, you can rely on it pretty hard. When you've got an exit ramp, you're tempted to take it. I didn't really have any other options at that point. And I think that's really what I was doing subconsciously. I was getting my resume to the point of, it's like, you've worked here, here, here. You were here for a couple hours. You're here for a couple days. Where were you here in this big gap? Because I had gaps, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd had that kind of spotty resume where nobody was really going to look at it seriously. There was certainly no employee loyalty, and it cost a lot of money for a company to have a new employee. You've got to get trained, you've got to get insurance or the whole HR kind of thing. And nobody really was going to take a chance on me at that thing. And I will say this, and one of the things that I'd done just in my move to Nashville, I'd bought a place, but I was living really, really lean. And I think that can be a huge issue to some people. They keep up a lifestyle. Like I've never, even today, I don't pay for cable. That sounds really crazy. I'm stealing it. I don't.
We don't have cable.
we don't have cable. I don't watch television that much. But I've never paid for cable service. So there's a lot of things that you can do to keep your costs down, and I was doing that. I mean, I'm vegetarian. I eat pretty low on the food chain, as my mother says. I'm eating a bunch of beans and rice, and didn't know a lot of people because I was brand new to town. And I think that was really, really good that I was able to do that move before I was really, really established, either with finances or socially or with a relationship. I think it could be really tough. I was also single at the time, which I think is a benefit.
Well, let me ask you this before we wrap up here in the remaining time. What's one big piece of advice you would give to other people who want to do what you and I both did, to quit their job once and for all and go out and run their own business for the rest of their life?
Well, I think you should do it ASAP. If you know what it is that you want to jump into, it's like your story that we told on the part 1 of this series. You may not end up doing what you think you're going to do, but if you do it ASAP, you're going to get more clear on what it is that you need to do. I think not having enough money, as I mentioned, is good because you're not going to get too comfortable. And I think that just knowing that if something doesn't work out, you've got those other options. You can move in with a friend, or you can get a roommate, or you can, I don't know. I've known a lot of people to do a lot of things over the years, and
I've moved back in with my parents in the past.
Yeah,
you do what you have to do to make this business thing work.
And I think you have to know that if you are going to do that, that it's not permanent, that it's temporary. It's just like some days you have good income days or good income months or good income years, and sometimes you're not going to make as much, but everything comes in cycles when you're doing this.
Well, that's great advice, David. I think that's all the time we have today. Thanks for sharing your story there.
Well, glad to do it.
Yeah, and for this episode and other episodes, you can go to redpodcast.com. What does RED stand for, David?
Real Entrepreneur Development. In the trenches, this is no BS. We're not just bloggers.
Nope.
We've got real businesses.
Blogs can be real businesses.
Well, they can be.
We have blogs.
You can make money.
We both have blogs. So.
You can make money. We got blogs too. But I'm saying that
this is real stuff.
This is the real stuff. This is the highs and the lows.
All of it.
All the good, all the bad.
All right. Well, thanks, David. See you next time.
All right. Bye.